Welcome back to the 5678 podcast. It's your boy, Brandon. It's been a while. It's been a few months, but here we are back again. First of all, I want to thank everybody for watching and participating in season 1. I actually want to go through and make sure that I recognize specific people for some of the episodes that they were involved with. So I definitely want to send a special shout out to DJ Invincible, Samuel Magico, Leslie Ferreira, Terrence Bryan, Derek Vinci, Alejandro De La Torre, Astro, Erica Nicole, Profex, Mike Zuniga, Joe Quinones, DJ So Nasty, Luis Aragon, and Aubrey Arez. Thank you guys so much for participating last season in season 1. It was all audio, as you know. You can see my face, obviously, so you can see that we're doing things a little bit differently this season. That said, I'd like to introduce you to a few of the people that I have with me today. We're going to start off all the way to my right, your left, if you're watching. We've got Joseph, DJ Zoukchatero. We've got Justin. We've got Victor. We've got Chris.
Hello.
And, of course, we have what is going to now, from this point forward, be my co-host, Miss Kelinda. So that said, why don't we just start off like I start off every episode? How did we find you all in the dance scene? Joseph, start us off.
Yes. Hello, I'm Joseph, a.k.a. DJ Zoukchatero, a.k.a. SoCal Dance Events, a.k.a. Central Fusion LA, a.k.a. NorCal Dance Events. It's pretty lengthy resume so far. I started in the dance scene about 14 years ago, back in 2010. It was originally a salsero, and then migrated over back into bachata back, I want to say 2014, 2015, when the whole Danielle Desiree phenomenon was out. And then shortly after that, did Zouk since 2018, and then became a DJ 2 or 3 years ago. Wanted to get that sound out that we weren't hearing. And then all of a sudden just became an event planner with Central Fusion, and then obviously doing my own events with Central Collaboration LA.
Nice. Justin?
My name is JustinChimichangas, for those who know me by my Instagram name. I started dancing in 2018 when I was in high school. That's how I met Alejandro Rey and Erica Nicole, who was his partner at the time. There was a school-wide dance competition they would do every year at my high school at the end of the year. Hondo came in, did a whole production thing's worth of it. That's how I had met him. So I had been with them for first 4 years, 2018 to 2022. And then since then, I've soloed off by doing my own performances, solo or with a partner. And just as of recently, have now officially became a promoter. Working alongside with one of my partners here, Mr. Joseph Zoukchatero, and along with Alejandro De La Torre, De La Drama. Yeah.
Victor?
Okay, so my name is Victor, aka the Mexican Johnny Bravo, as you can tell. I've been dancing since I was like 14. The basic, Mexican thing where we dance like, bachata, banda, cumbias, banda, merengue stuff. Got into salsa, bachata maybe about like 10 years ago and stuff. My first ever event was in the Hacienda Hotel, which my first ever salsa instructor was Raul Santiago and Yesenia. I admire them. And my first ever bachata instructor was Zoeli. So danced salsa for about a year.
Zoeli, we love Zoeli.
Everybody knows Zoeli now. Then I went a year salsa, and then later transitioned to bachata later because I found about Steven's Steakhouse. Met George Contreras before he did his Airbnb business, and then meeting Demetrio. And then from there, it just went up, going from Granadas to a lot of pretty much how LA it is nowadays with so many goddamn socials. Yeah. So
we'll get to that.
Yeah, literally. So so I've been doing it for officially like already a decade now. So I can say that I've been doing it for 10 years. So
nice. Chris?
Christopher Sandoval. I've been dancing since I was a kid. My journey of bachata and where I met these amazing people. And just to say real quick, like, it's been like a blessing just to witness some of the chapters and the journeys that these people just humbly introduced and touched on. So I can look forward to just getting to know everyone else's stories because they're all interconnected, right? But for me, bachata started 10 years ago. I graduated college and I wanted to leave LA, but I didn't know LA at the time was a mecca for this emerging LA bachata scene with DJ Vince, Invincible, and Big Hondo back in the day. Again, this is 10 years ago. So I went to Texas and I found a little community in South Texas called the Rio Grande Valley. And their little humble community of bachata just had me really excited. And the phenomenon that I was into, besides Daniel and Desiree, was Ataca la Mana with that viral video, Te Extraño. Got me and a lot of people. But that was the video that made me think, I want to learn this for real. So besides me growing up doing Mexican folk dance, what we call folklorico, me doing any quinceañera banda opportunity, bachata really became a big part of just what I wanted to do everywhere. Anything I attempted to make money off of, I put to a festival ticket. So for me, my journey, I think, through bachata has been about making really good friends in the Bay, South Texas, and obviously here in LA. But it has been more about just the opportunities to travel. I have had an open mind about the world just because I've learned bachata and met amazing people. So going to Croatia, I think for me, has been wide eye-opening for what the world can do for dance and just bachata in general.
That festival is insane.
Dude, I came back different, man. I wasn't the same. I'll tell you that. I wanted to start a taco stand on the beach, man.
Yeah.
We had this whole funny plan calling it bachatacos. I didn't want to leave. Anyways, it was the festivals like that made me think like, wow, bachata's always going to be a big chapter and a recurring chapter in my life. I'll leave it at that, man.
Cool. And Miss Kelinda.
My name is Kelinda Star White, and
Kelinda.
I've been dancing for a long time as well. I've been dancing since the age of 3, but I was doing classical ballet, and then I got older to the age of 10, started branching out and doing all these different types of genres. I myself fell upon a YouTube video and it was bachata, and I was like, what is this? Where can I get some of this? And I met Brandon at Granada, and we kind of started around the same time.
Absolutely.
And it's been such an evolution and growth, and I love being here with you cool cats, because you guys have also been here with when I started, and I'm excited to see this podcast grow and change the dance community, hopefully.
Absolutely. And, you know, we had Aubrey on as the last episode of season 1, and she was the Laker girl, so now we got to have the Clippers girl.
The Laker girl.
I'm like, whoa. Let's not compete.
Cool. All right. So you guys have obviously all been around for quite a while, as have I. Let's talk about, you know, how have you seen the dance scene sort of change over time from the time that you started out to where things are now?
Man, but first things first, I definitely want to just say, you know, like, can we just appreciate how dance brought us all together and stuff?
Absolutely.
I remember how we didn't know any of you guys, and
Preach.
and look at us now. Look at us doing a podcast right now.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Brandon. So for
Amen.
me, seeing how, what's it called, like primarily the bachata scene changing, it's like literally it's like dramatic, like literally how it evolved from just doing the basic like footwork, arm works, and then now you see these people doing like kind of like little body rolls, doing like a whole bunch of waves, and I'm like even surprised to see that. Like I'll admit I do dance at times and stuff. I won't deny it. But the thing that makes me laugh is when you bring it to your Mexican family and they see that and they're like, "That's bachata?" Like, yeah, that's the new transition nowadays. So, but overall, the thing I love more is how a lot of people could be able to freestyle now in the bachata. Instead of just doing simple footwork, a lot of people could just skip a step and do some transition. A lot of what I usually will say. Play with the bachata. Like, they hear a song, I'm able to play with it, play with the rhythm. And then sometimes, how a lot of ladies would like to, like, how could I say it? Say a story when it comes to it. But they show it in an art by dancing.
Do you think it's gone too far, or?
That was directed to me, it looks like.
We're learning etiquette.
I will say this. When I first started back in 2010, so 14 years in the dance scene. So I'll say this. I was around when the Vasquez brothers were here. I was around when a lot of the salseros was in basically what Central Bachata is now, the biggest, hottest thing, right? So when we look back almost over a decade now, It's the same problems. It's the same thing. Dancing on one. Oh, dancing on two. Oh, so much better. You can do this. You can do that. It's just whatever. It's just a matter of opinion. Matter of opinion. And then who's actually making these opinions, right? So you consider the source of who's making these opinions. I can know there's a video up there that's just viral right now that it's going to pop up. I'm just going to comment on it real quick. It's like triggered. Anywho, the dancing now is always evolving. It's always going to be, think about it like a Darwinism, right? We grew from, what do you call it? Like fish. And then we grew up into monkeys, right? Then we grew up into Homo sapiens, right? Next will be fucking flying dragons or some shit, right? It's an evolution, right? No one's going to respect it unless you actually understand it. And people who, I want to say, criticize or critique certain things may not necessarily understand it because they don't really know it. They don't understand it because they never danced it, right? I heard similar things with Zouk. I heard similar things with bachata, similar things with salsa. Evolution's going to progress whether you like it or not. People can respect it, and that's okay. People can not like it, and that's okay. I just think regardless of how people think and behave, it's just a matter of respect. How people can just not talk shit on it so much, but just understand that you can take a lot of fusion and make something beautiful, make something grow. Ballet is one of them. There is West Coast swing. There is just anything outside of bachata and salsa that you consider dance is all derived from a source, right? And so it's just a tree. It's a different branch. We have different branches now. And I think people who are stuck in one branch doesn't necessarily see the entire tree. And that's just my 2 cents.
Justin, I feel like you might have something to say on that.
Well, your question was stuff that's changed, right?
Yeah. I mean, how have you noticed the change, and what do you think about the change?
For me, I'm the least amount of years in the scene, I'm sure, for everybody here. And I'd say I did, like, it's definitely a change as far as pre-COVID and after COVID. You got a huge new wave of people that came in, people that pretty much during COVID got bored and were looking for something to do. And for a lot of those people, they found bachata as their hobby. And so it's a whole new wave, like I said, from pre-COVID. There's change for sure, some good, some bad, and some mutual change, I feel. I don't want to go too deep into it because from my understanding, you said we're going to get into it later just to save some of my points. But just to say one thing that I find a little frustrating or annoying with new age, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong unless it's been a thing for a while, but I haven't really noticed it a lot more until after COVID, is that so many people want to get a dang video while they're social dancing. And it can be very annoying because I'm like, okay, are you here to have a good time and dance, or are you here to just get a video and post it and to show off to all the other people that are not a part of this dance world? There's times where people have come up to me, oh, can you record? And I say no, because I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. If it's a friend, someone I'm cool with, sure. But when it's someone random, for the most part, I just say no. And then I get upset afterwards because once I tell them no, they're looking around and asking all kinds of other people while their freaking partner is just waiting there, standing there looking dumb. And I'm like, that is just insane. Like, fuck the damn video. Just dance. You don't need to have everything recorded. Just live in the moment. Be in the moment.
Yes, sir.
Not everything has to be on the video. So that's one thing that I've noticed happens a lot more now because, again, I just feel a lot of people are just doing this for clout, popularity. Oh, look at me. I'm doing this. Especially when it's a guest instructor from somewhere. Yeah. I dance with the guest instructors, but I don't really care if someone gets a video or not because I just want to focus on the dance I have with that person. Sometimes because of my friends are my friends, they'll just naturally record me, but it's very, very rare I'm going to ask someone to record. I used to be like that pre-COVID, but mind you, I was like 16, 17, 18, new as heck to everything. I'm like, I wanted to just, because of how much I loved it, as time grew on, then I realized I'm like, you know what? It's not important that I get a video anymore. I just want to dance, enjoy the dance with someone, whoever the case is. If a video happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
You're a handsome young fella, Chris. You're in a lot of
Oh,
videos.
thank you. Yeah, same as you.
I've seen your.
We actually were in the same video.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that
Actually,
later.
we all three of us were in the
Oh,
same
see?
video.
They're,
You
to my
know?
point. Now it's begun. Let's dig into
And
it.
it was
back.
during the Rona. I just would point that out. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have some funny stories about that later. But to jump off of Justin, to build on to you, I think there is social media has built or normalized some sense of narcissism that seems as okay when that really plays into wanting to always take a video. And I think it's so normalized that people don't know the difference. What I hear you saying is you want to protect the sacredness of what a dance between two people is. And that's just a connection that no one else gets to have other than those two people. As spiritually manifestive, I think our culture has in terms of what LA people can talk about in terms of like just being more spiritually aligned, the kind of like eloquent, I will sometimes argue as kind of bullshitty kind of understandings of what it means to be more connected to yourself. I think all that could be a distraction to really the simplistic beauty of dance is. I don't really need to get clout or get a video to feel good about myself. I feel good about that moment and that person dancing with me, and that's all I want to leave it as. What I really get bothered by is that sometimes we don't realize the difference between wanting to enjoy a dance and then also wanting to enjoy the validation we get from that dance. And I think that is extremely conflated nowadays. And I think it's only going to get worse, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think what's important, what could combat that is, I think, just stories. That's why I love this oratory platform of podcasting, because it's our today's version of just telling stories and histories of what it used to be. That way, perspective plays into decision making of, should I just learn sensual bachata because it looks really sexy and my friend did it? Or should I also learn urban bachata? Should I also find places where they do traditional bachata? Should I ask questions? When's the last time someone asked a question in a regular bachata class at Stevens or even in a challenge project team? Where does bachata come from? Or what are the differences? I think that kind of questioning all falls down into whoever stakeholder is leading whatever space of bachata. And I think that's what worries me more. I think bachata is not out of control. I don't think it's going too far. I think it's exactly where it's supposed to be. I think people need to start, when I say people, and I'm going to put that accountability on myself too. So other than OGs, I'll call myself an OG because we've been in it a while. But the promoters, the podcasters, the instructors, the organizers, the DJs, I think we have a bigger responsibility that we realize. And if this community decides to get more toxic in examples like that, I think it's going to be those people I just announced as our fault. I think we're responsible, and I don't think there's enough accountability happening.
And I'm sorry, just to hearing you, and then just one little more point, so I don't sound very contradictory or hypocritical. Of course, if you were to go on my feed, you would see nothing but videos of me dancing with girls. Just want to point out those videos were taken by them or their friends, and they invited me to collab on it. Of course, if someone else wants to record a video, for the most part, I'm not going to care. I won't say no or anything like that. But I just so I don't look hypocritical or anything.
Oh, we all have videos. Let's be real.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a video.
Yeah.
We all have videos. Like I've done project videos with everybody.
Well, that's the thing. So
what's
that's
the
one thing I'm
difference?
talking about.
Different.
Specifically, project videos.
Yeah.
I've barely scrapped the surface of how many I want to do, and I've been wanting to do it since forever. I've only done one, unfortunately. I would love to constantly do more. But I'm specifically just talking about being on the social and trying to get the video on your phone and prioritizing that over just to dance with a person.
Right.
But yeah.
But don't you notice that people are entering a culture now? I know flip phones are coming back now. And I just think that's an early sign of hopefully people are going to start making moves to counter the absolute, you have to get a video. I think we're definitely going to start seeing some moves where people are going to start combating that. I hope it goes in the right direction. I hear you. But just to be even more specific on your point, there's an artistic responsibility and connection we have to producing dance, right? But then there's also the other bad side of that. I think there's a good and bad side to anything. So I think we're talking about two sides of the same coin. I really think people just need to understand, if you join this scene, it's not about videos. I think it's about relationships. And I think that's a lost conversation. How do we build relationships again in the scene? Don't you guys think that things are becoming more passive?
Absolutely. I feel like most of the time when we go out and we're in these different spaces, most of the time, we spend so much time around each other, going out several nights a week, and we don't really know each other. I mean, just even on a personal level, like half of the people that we dance with, we don't even know that they're lawyers and they're dentists and they're teachers and they're, all sorts of different things, right? And you would never know it because all we do is, walk up, get the little video, whatever, and then we move on, right? So I think we could definitely do a better job in general as a community is just, getting to know each other a little bit better, participating in like human interaction a little bit more.
Yeah, that's the thing I really loved about the Rona times, right? It was a crazy time. It was a bunch of bullshit. But at the end of the day, we really got to know every single dancer from a human standpoint, right? That's the part I miss about the Rona times was that we actually had a spoken language. It wasn't a dance. It was just like, hi, dance, good, done. It was actually a human connection that we all missed, right? I think people who were a part of that times, which is pretty much everyone in this room, and that's how we all met for the most part, right? That's how
we did.
We met, we connected, we've seen each other, but didn't really understand each other. And I think that's the thing that it's hard. It's hard because you go to the Stevens, you go to Granada, you go whatever, right? You go there to dance, and that's
it's loud as shit. I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not really like you can have an actual conversation with somebody at Stevens when their music is blasting all around you and you're there to dance, right? I get it. But at the same time, there has to be some type of balance, and that's why I've tried to do events in the past where I literally said, okay, for an hour, we're not going to even put on any music. We're just going to like socialize for an hour and then we'll get into the music, right? And people seem to like that event. I want to bring that one back, so I'm going to try that. But
like a mixer.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Networking thing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I only talked to you guys because you guys knew where all the hot spots were. I'm just going to say that right now. That's the only reason why you guys are my friends.
And I created a page because of that.
Yes, exactly. You only got that follow because you knew where the next hit was.
But since I realized about that, like, the thing I'm thinking about is like how a lot of people like to know each other depending on what level of dancing they've been. It's like, for example, like us, we always like to get along with people that are actually the well-known dancers or they've been dancing for a while. Sometimes, maybe once in a while, we'll probably get along with like beginners, which I don't mind interacting with them. But I have noticed that like consistently every time I go dancing and stuff, like, one person does want to interact with me because it was a really good dance. But if I end up dancing with her like really like, terrible, she's not going to want to interact with me. So that's the thing.
I want to add on to that really quick. I don't know, Fred, if you have a specific topic on this subject about new and upcoming instructors. I want to hold that off until.
Yeah,
let's talk about it now.
Okay.
Great.
Now.
Wait, what's the topic again?
New and
Nothing is off limits here.
The new and upcoming instructors, I would say, within the past 2 or 4 years. That's my range that I'm going with. I will just say they're great, and they're doing something that hasn't been done in introducing Central Bachata. And that's really what I'm speaking about, right? Because that's kind of what I do, right? That's my background. There's other dances like salsa and zouk and what have you. But specifically when we're talking about Central Bachata, there's a lot of new instructors. And I will point out maybe 3 key things that I've noticed, right? The lack of experience to teach. 2, the lack of awareness of other dances that they can learn from. And then 3 is training. So those are the key areas that I think that when you're trying to teach someone specific things, you're not only the blind leading the blind, if that makes sense, but you're incorporating bad habits with dancing. Mm-hmm. And I think if you only know one thing and not sort of understand other dances like salsa, bachata, and only getting trained in a specific way, right? You're missing out on other things. I've seen dances where some of these instructors are doing central moves when traditional and urban, right? Like that pisses me off. I'm like, that's not where it belongs. There's a specific thing that it belongs to, and that's not it. Do what you want. It's a dance, great. But it's like, if you're gonna have the essence of something, right? I wouldn't do zouk and salsa, right? That doesn't make any sense. You could. I've done it. Doesn't mean it belongs there. You're gonna hurt someone, and that happens a lot. I've hurt my back. I've hurt my arm. Follows have cracked their heads. They've hurt their back.
Well, let's talk to the follow. Let's
yeah,
ask the follow.
They've done a lot of injuries based on improper training because they think it looks cool. And then I'll leave it with this. I've known regular dancers who become instructors, and they have this attitude where, I'll dance with you now that I'm instructor. I'm like, okay, I'll dance with you right now. It's just look. It's like, you're cool now. And I was like, oh yeah, great. And then they're looking at you like, I'm like, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Go fuck yourself. Yeah, I fucking dance longer than you.
All right.
Go eat a dick. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm done.
After her, I would love to carry on to what he was saying.
First of all, have you ever been injured?
In this scene, yes, I have been injured. Probably in my more early stages when I was first starting to dance. Now I've like learned resistance and like not to do whatever the lead is trying to guide me to because I have boundaries. I do agree with Joseph on how much training and especially cross training is very, very important, and how he says that all dance kind of stems, it comes from a base, it comes from something, ballet or jazz or, you know, tribal. It all comes from something, and I feel like everyone needs to kind of get to the roots of that and just at least know the basic of where it came from. You were so funny with the get out of here. Also, I might have missed it, but how long do you feel like, or years, that someone has to do until they're able to be a teacher or an instructor?
That's a really good question. Well, let me give you my background just to give some sort of why I think the way I think, right? So obviously I've been dancing for 14 years, but out of that, I would say 8 to 10 years I was performing. So I've been on 3 or 4 dance teams, took a lot of privates. I expanded myself outside of just salsa and bachata and did contemporary, did hip hop, did zouk. Really got trained on a lot of technical skills with just how you move your feet, how do you move your hips, your frame, especially when you're performing. Your frame is really important. Your lines, all of that. I think to answer your question, what do I think years wise? I think it's dependent on the person because they can get it like that and they can teach it really well. There's a lot of really good instructors who get it and they understand it and can teach it really well. I just think a lot of 80% of the new instructors here don't have that background. And I feel like what they're lacking, I would say what they have is flash. What they don't have is foundation. So that's what they're lacking right now.
I don't think that the amount of time that you've been dancing necessarily equates to whether you're qualified or not to teach, right? I think that, like you said, some people grasp things a lot quicker. They grasp concepts a lot quicker. And so I think, there really is no answer for that question. I think it's sort of like
subjective.
Yeah, it is subjective, right? But unfortunately, there's also the objective of everybody else that's looking into what you're doing as well, right?
I think it's important to realize, like, what are the side effects of teachers who are not being responsible enough in teaching correctly, whatever that may look like. And I think one big side effect are dancers leaving a dance class, thinking that it's okay to lead or follow in this way. And then one thing could happen is injury. I really am interested more in knowing the rules so you could bend the rules. And I say that phrase, I remember talking with Joseph and our buddy Jag about it. Art is supposed to be expressive and interpretational, and we have to push the boundaries. Art is always being pushed, and it's heavily reliant on the times and where we're going. And it's in the hands of ourselves, what's happening on the street, what's happening in the social, what's happening in a dance studio. When I see it that way, I realize that no matter who teaches it, there are great dancers, and then there's great teachers. And then there's great teachers who are also really great dancers. I think that needs to be very clear. Since there's no school or accountability system, or there's no bureaucratic pipeline of bachata institutes, right? Certifications, licenses, yet.
They
There
tried
is
to.
no-
Yeah, I was told there
there's-
used to be.
tried to.
They used to try to do one, but
They
it just
tried to.
didn't.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they just need to keep on trying until we find something. Because I mean, it isn't right. It's never nothing in this game is a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
This is about putting in your heart into what you feel dance is for you, and it's never going to be a rich thing. And I mean, you have great people like the George Contreras of the world who have really decided to turn bachata into a bigger space for it could be profitable. But in terms of, I think, the art, we got to keep pushing the envelope, but you have to know the rules so you could be respected to bend them. And when people don't know the difference, that's when injuries happen. That's when people start talking shit, and it leads to nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, and maybe it's gonna be controversial,
Say
but
it.
you know, I've been sipping
Preach
the
on,
wine
sis.
here and everything
I know.
like
I
this.
was like, the wine's hitting me.
But look,
Say it.
the bachata scene in LA has gone to hell.
Oh, yeah, we've had this
I
conversation.
didn't say that.
It's gone to hell.
Yeah.
Look, let me tell you
It's in
something.
purgatory.
Let me tell you something right now.
It's nowhere near as good as it used to be.
It's not as good as it used to
Yeah.
be. Okay. We just recently had a night at Stevens where Demetrio did what was called
Way Back
a
Wednesday?
classics sort of Wednesday, way back Wednesday, right?
That was
And
packed.
it was packed
Mhm.
and it felt like, 2015, which wasn't that long ago, but it was a time that I think we all hold very dearly and sort of nostalgic in our hearts because that's kind of when we all started dancing, but also the actual physical space was different, right? How it was on that particular Wednesday is how it used to be every Wednesday and every Sunday, regardless of what was going on, right? Now, there's a couple reasons why. Now we've got, 12 events on a night, every night. Like, it's a random Tuesday night and there's 8 events going on, right?
Very spoiled. LA's very spoiled.
Absolutely. We're extremely spoiled.
Extremely spoiled.
So that's part of it. But, I just think that sort of like you mentioned, there's a lack of understanding just in general. Like, I'm a historian. I love history. That was my favorite, subject when I was in school. The fact that we don't even really teach the historical context of where bachata even comes from. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'll teach classes and, I'll teach very, very starting out beginners, right? And the very first question I always ask is, all right, where'd bachata come from? Just the most basic thing that you can ask. And the answers are alarming sometimes.
Everybody says Mexico.
Mexico.
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
They say Mexico?
That's rare.
Spain.
That's just, it's a generic term. Those people that
What?
don't know nothing about it, that's what they're just going to
That
assume.
is-
I've heard
Well, we
Mexico,
can take the credit. I don't-
Spain, Puerto Rico.
We'll take the credit, sure.
LA.
You know? And I'm like,
Jesus.
okay, so
US.
obviously, like, we're not doing a great enough job of like even giving people like the historical context of where this even started.
And I believe that gets worse. Don't take offense to it, but I believe that gets worse with this new sensual wave coming because I feel like it's distorting away from the roots of the DR. Before you go crazy, my friend, that is just because of the current instructors we have out here in the US. There are specific instructors that I like, one being this gentleman named Azil, I believe he is, who is a sensual instructor. But he, being a sensual instructor, will make sure he tells his students in classes where it comes from, where it originates from, and all that. So the only reason why, again, I'm saying is because the representation we have out here doesn't do what they should be doing. It's just, okay, this is the move, do it, and cool, you learned it. As opposed to people actually wanting to make their students understand where this dance originated from, how far it's came. This gentleman here can be one of those people, but he hasn't been teaching. No, completely understandable.
It's very understandable.
Completely understandable. But when I, again, say that it's to blame the faults on sensual, it's not necessarily just saying like sensual's bad, but unfortunately it's the people that are the face of sensual or doing the sensual style that we have currently aren't doing their job, the responsibility they need
I
to
think
be.
anytime you have something that's considered new, everybody wants to be at the forefront of it, right? They want to be the person that like, that can claim it, right? I mean, look, we got, even right now we got somebody trying to claim and copyright sensual bachata, which is freaking ridiculous, right?
and
Like,
salsa. Way
yeah,
back.
I mean,
All of it.
it's insane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, that's just the world that we live in. Everybody wants the credit, right? But, we have to kind of take a step back a little bit, look at everything for what it is, understand like, all right, this is something that already existed. It is what it was. And yeah, do I believe in evolution? Absolutely. Like, I'm not saying that I hate sensual bachata. I believe in evolution, and I think that it's cool that it's going somewhere else. I just believe that homage should be paid to, where it came from prior to that. And I think maybe that's what Justin's getting at a little bit.
Yes, and I also think a lot more people would be on board with the sensual movement and whatnot if it was constantly done right. With my point being is that when you're dancing and you're a sensual dancer, whatever, and you're out dancing and you're doing all these sensual movements to, like he had said before, to a traditional song or just even an urban song, but there's that specific bachata beat following, and you're not doing that, you're doing all of this. That is what we see a lot, and that's why most people do not like the sensual movement. Again, though, it can be done right to where, like I said, instructors out like from Europe and whatnot, someone like my friend here, which I do like, and that's the side of it that I do like, and I wish there was more of that. It's just now doing this, doing that.
Yeah.
I've already danced for 2 to 3 years. I could be a pro now, and that's all it is.
Let me throw in some more controversy. Yes. Semantics, man. All right, and this is an interesting thing. I feel that bachata is already sensual. Traditional bachata is sensual.
I was
Dancing
saying that
between
today.
two people
Absolutely.
is sensual.
I said that today.
Now, I think what people secretly don't want to admit is that sometimes people don't want to teach or know the difference between something that's sexual versus something that's sensual. I'm gonna keep it real. I don't mind dancing with someone who I really want to connect with. Right now, I have a girlfriend, so when we dance a little more intimate than other people.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that.
So hot.
But I just think there needs to be a conversation about, are you trying to over sexualize or hyper sexualize bachata? It doesn't need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you came there, because now we're going to watch a video in real time. I just want you guys to take a look at this, react to it. We'll discuss it. This
I
is
can imagine.
I have a
Something
feeling
crazy.
I know what it is.
This is a clip of a couple dancing. And I just want you guys to let me know what your thoughts are on the video after you watch it.
It's summer in the studio.
We're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss it.
Yo quiero verte y complacerte bien lentamente. Quiero contigo ser un
All right. So, I mean, it's pretty much this for the next 2 minutes.
And
so
that's how people think we dance.
It's
Absolutely.
called softcore porn.
It's
right. So,
it's the wrongdoings, the wrong side of the sensual wave.
Yeah.
like
the
on
wrong
Wild.
side of the
It's
sensual wave.
Black
but see,
Sheep,
that's
though.
my point. That's the stuff that gets the
As opposed to the good
popularity,
quality stuff.
Of
right?
course, of course.
You know?
Sex sells.
It's
But
been
it-
for
and
many,
And again,
many
that's my
years.
whole point
Yeah.
of why so much people dislike it, because it's stuff like that gets out, as opposed to someone, again, like I keep gesturing to my friend here, who would have better stuff to be put out.
That's true, because I hate body rolls, but I like his body rolls.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Baby.
Fusion.
No, but the other question I wanted to ask is, are you comfortable dancing like that when you have a significant other? Really? Or is there like a certain boundary and limit
Well,
when
first
it
of
comes
all,
to that?
my significant other will not be caught alive in that outfit. I just think that already is the wrong message. It looks like it was a performance, but it kind of looked like
that
highly
looked like
doubt it was.
social
No.
dancing to me.
Highly doubt
it kind of looked like also like they just wanted
They were doing
to
the
look-
demo.
Yeah.
a demo, right? They
Yeah.
want to look real sexy. She's like, all right, hold on, let me fix my underwear. Give me some a wedgie. All right,
That's just,
hit play.
it's too try hard. To answer your question, I think when you're in a relationship, there's a difference of dancing when you want someone versus dancing when you're in a relationship versus dancing when you're in the moment, right? It's different. I will say this: once I started dancing Zouk, right? Zouk is all about connection. They literally put their fucking hands right here, and they're just like this, right? They're literally like that. That doesn't mean that like they just want to fuck, right? That just means they're connecting in the moment, and visually it does look like that. And for the peasant out there that doesn't know how to dance, they're gonna look at that, right? And see like, oh, this is fucking weird. I don't like this shit, right? There's a fine line of in the moment when you're dancing, when you're in a relationship versus fine line when you're not in a relationship. There's some gray areas, but obviously you understand respect. You understand where you put your hands. You understand where where you move, how you behave. And there's times when you're single and you're dancing with someone, you just know, when it can cross the line, and it does happen,
All the time.
all the time. However, if you're in a relationship and you are already sort of in that mode, right, of crossing the line, it's kind of like, well, you're kind of disrespecting the relationship at that point, in my opinion. You just have to have a fine line and like boundaries on what you think. Everyone has different boundaries. Like this, holding hands out here is too much, or this is like not enough. I don't know. It just really depends on that. But you really need, and I've been in relationships in the dance scene for the longest time, so I can tell you from salsa to bachata, like where that fine line is. You know exactly where that fine line is, and it's really subjective on who the person you're dancing with. And I've danced with a lot of follows who know that I'm in a relationship. They decide to cross the line, but you have to hold back.
Back off, bitch.
Yeah, you have to hold back and just like, like how follows use the little force method to not get too close. Leads do it the same way, especially if you're not interested or it just is inappropriate. So I think it goes both ways.
Yeah,
True.
I think boundaries is definitely an important thing, and just having that open communication, because especially that fine line in that connection that you're talking about, non-dancers don't know what that is. Like it's the same, but different.
Same.
Well, I think that's kind of why videos like this are kind of a little bit of an issue, right? Because they'll go on YouTube, right? If that's their first exposure to what bachata is this something like this? They're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do when I go to, whatever club, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, we've been around to know that that's probably not the way that you should behave on the dance floor, right? But I mean, can we blame them for seeing that and being like, oh no, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? So I think as a community, we kind of probably have to do a little bit of a better job of like promoting and paying attention to some of the things that are more proper. Right.
Let's go back to the accountability on stakeholders, like people in charge of those spaces. So I'm not here to call nobody out, but this is back on the topic of like, where's the responsibility? There was a social I saw on your profile, Joe, that said, I could be wrong on the semantics, but it gave a very clear friends with benefits social. I don't think it said that, but it gave that.
Yeah, it was. I won't say who the promoter is, but yeah.
Okay, so I want to also be clear. There's also, and let's be clear for me, when I see anyone come and do a performance at a social, I respect the work you've put into that social. I mean, to that performance. I will, though, be objective and observant of the obvious. And I have obviously seen more hypersexualization of bachata performances than more traditional. And there has been more all-girl teams that I feel like who are amazing at, it takes work to be a performance team. But I have seen more booty pops and booty rolls and floor humps and less triple steps, prep turns. And I just want to ask myself the question, if that's the direction we're going, what message do we need to make sure is clearly clarified so it doesn't go in the wrong direction to lead my own gender, heterosexual gender, to misinterpret that? Yeah. And also women who are interested in wanting to dance bachata and not misunderstand that.
It's almost, I mean, look, it's like every single female team is a heels team now. Like, you know, there is no like, oh yeah, we're a female team that just
No, it's
dances
heels.
salsa or just dances bachata. Like, it's literally everything is heels now. And look, I'm all for female empowerment and that movement, and you know, do what you want to do. But you know, we're at salsa and bachata events, and so you know, I get it. It's a crowd pleaser. Like you know, you show up to, you know, BIG Tuesdays at Ixtapa, right? And they got the heels team. Like, I get it. Like, it's a crowd pleaser, but at the same time, it's like it's become to a point where that's literally all we see now. I don't think I can really remember the last time I've just seen like an all female team that just did like a salsa show.
So if you think of a spectrum, I feel like we might be leaning more toward one side of it than the other as a balanced, neutral spectrum. Not to get political, but I think the more moderate we shoot for, both sides are the most happy and peaceful, as opposed to if we shoot to one end of the spectrum, this being too hypersexual, misinterpreted as hypersexual, as opposed to just real traditional. Where's the happy place? That's my question for you guys. Where's the happy place where maybe we could keep reminding ourselves we have to keep going back to? Because I think we're not in a happy place right now.
And you know what? You should just be the change you wish to see in the world, gentlemen.
hey,
You know,
Come on now.
If you're saying that you want, I don't see any men's teams, so you men need to step it up. You guys have your own little group. Where is that?
It's because
So
we
you
don't.
have
we-
seen men teams.
I did one.
So you did
I
see
did one.
It's because we don't.
I'm still trying to make mine.
without
I did one.
Okay, all I hear is excuses.
Wait,
I
no,
think
I did one.
I'm not gonna give you
That's not
any
You
an
just
excuse.
did one, and you just did it.
Yeah.
I just did a team.
Really?
those
Yeah,
are
he did a
solos.
team.
I need a group.
No, he
I
did a
just
group.
did.
We did a group already.
I
Me,
literally
Justin,
just
and him.
did a team, and it was the worst experience in my life. Kid you not. Like, I would never do it again. It was literally trying to manage, you know, people showing up, making sure that they were, you know, practicing on their own time and coming to you know, practice ready to go, and not. And I would never do it again.
I hear that a lot too. Like there's several men's groups that started and then they fall apart for the same reason. Like
and
it
we
is
went.
hard.
We went. I mean, we started that back in July. The thing is it's actually done. I have a ready routine, ready to go right now. But I think we just had such a struggle with it that like everybody's like, you know, it was fun being in the studio and learning from each other, but let's just take some time apart from each other.
When
right
Victor and
now.
I did MVM back in the day, when we did our video, let's be clear. I think there is a struggle for a high standard of work ethic and discipline in our community. And when I say our community, LA community, Southern California, we don't have a strong work ethic. I've been to Mexico. We partied in Mexico plenty of times, especially with Joe. And we've seen those communities out there.
Enchilada, baby.
You said we've been what?
We've partied and we've met great communities of salsa bachata in Mexico, specifically in Baja, like in Ensenada. And we've met these salsa and bachata teachers. And I've been to Puebla. I've been to congresses all over Mexico. Croatia also. I didn't realize the further out I go from our little mecca of bachata, the harder people work.
Oh,
And
by
I can
far.
clearly attribute that
Yeah.
to like socioeconomic status. Sometimes bachata or dance is all they have.
Exactly.
And so you work harder for it because you want those few opportunities to go somewhere.
It's taken for granted out here.
It's
They-
taken for
yeah,
granted.
no,
Yeah,
they-
we're spoiled.
Yeah, they
We're spoiled.
they appreciate it so much more. And I've said this. I think I said this a couple times in season 1. Like, I went to Greece, and there was a place that I went. It was a Wednesday night, and this place was freaking packed. Like, and I'm talking about like Saturday night at a Congress, packed enthusiasm
On a Wednesday.
on a Wednesday night. And I was just asking people like, yo, like, is it like this every Wednesday? And they're like, no, because they only do this once every month. And I was like, oh, okay, well, what other places do you have out here? This is it. Oh, well, and I see why everybody's so enthusiastic.
I want to add on to that. I've danced in Europe, so they train nonstop.
Right.
When I went to Spain, the dancing there is just it's a different level. When I went to Amsterdam, their training is just, especially the leads or the follows from Russia. I don't know what it is, or Ukraine. They just have a different work ethic, and I think that's the bottom line. I think it's like when even Mexico, right?
Mhm.
They just live,
Super
they breathe, they
competitive.
eat this lifestyle.
Mhm.
And I think for here, it's more Hollywood. I would just say it's more Hollywood.
It's
We're
more of a
spoiled.
hobby here too.
And a
Like,
party.
It's definitely a hobby.
a
It's
lot of
definitely a
people-
party.
It's a party, hobby,
Yeah.
and what they say, an emotional outlet.
And we're only talking about bachata. We haven't even touched on salsa yet.
I know, that's the crazy part.
Yeah,
Salsa
but
derby.
no,
I'm sorry.
No.
I just wanted to get back real quick
No going back.
to just
I was
touch on as far as like our responsibilities and what kind of shows we're bringing on. So someone who's now one of the newer teachers and now new promoter, right? First, at least when it comes to the teaching aspect specifically, I know and I at least take it on as my responsibility that the number one thing when I'm teaching for the social dancing partner work and whatnot is safety. Frame, making sure the leads have their frame and making sure they have a nice good frame and not noodly. A lot of dance etiquette, like my friend just said. And I also don't teach sensual either. What I consider I teach is more of the urban style. And as well as one thing that I think the other instructors that are around that need to take responsibility for themselves is two things. One, I don't think if you're brand new, beginner, first time ever, I don't think your first training should be sensual, because that's not beginner level type of dancing. It should either be either of the two, traditional and or urban, because that's where the foundation starts and it goes to. Eventually, if you want to make it really sensual, of course, that's fine. But that's what I don't really like, is that nobody emphasizes that when they do the sensual classes, that they say it's open level and anyone can do it, which is not the case. It takes time to become to that level, if you will. And people are just going through the whole class to what it is that they want to teach, while half the class, if it's the first time ever, are not getting the first couple steps. Me, I have a whole pattern set out before I teach. But if I see my class isn't getting past this one specific part, then I don't go past it. And the class just stays to what it is, because I want to make sure they get that specifically. Because, again, that's where I'm preaching and making sure they get more training towards the safety of it, as opposed to, oh, it looks good enough, let me move on. That's not going to help anyone.
Yeah.
You know, especially with all the times I've seen posts and just follows come up to me, all the leads in LA are this, these are LA that. I'm just like, and that's why I like to want to come on as a teacher, because I want to change that. Because one thing that I can say I'm pretty confident in is being a good lead, because I've been told that almost for the beginning, right? Now, moving on to the promoter side, being new in the promoter, something again that I take on as my responsibility is one, specifically when I started, I wanted to do once a month. Why? Because it's just easier to maintain and people won't take it for granted. Try to do something weekly, then you're going to have the mindset of your customers being, oh, I went last week, so I won't go this week. I'm going to go next week, so I'm not going to go this week. But you do something once a month, you make it big, hence the big social. You make it nice and fun. They're going to anticipate and want to come back to the next one.
Yeah.
At the moment, what we have right now, and that's just more so because of the bar, he wants us there at least the whole time. So that at least the first 3 Tuesdays, I have it focused class emphasis, building a little academy thing, if you will, training people for the next generation of dancers, with social dancing afterwards. But at the same time, we're also promoting while we're teaching them, hey, at the end of the month, this is our big Tuesday for you guys. Come in for these first 3 Tuesdays. We have guest instructors for you, performances, and a guest DJ, right?
Yeah.
And not that anyone was calling us or me out specifically, we did have the shows, that were all booty shaking, popping stuff. But it's also because, like you said, that's majority of the teams out.
Right.
I did reach out to a lot of other teams that were bachata and or salsa. Unfortunately, they weren't available. So for the most part, it was pretty much who was ever going to tell me yes. And that's also why I made sure, though, at the very least, since I'm now part of Vanessa Villalobos' team, that we also had that performance as well, which is, traditional bachata. Because I do agree that there is a lot of that, the heels and involve a lot of the sexual type stuff that is getting a lot of portrayed. And then, again, we get brand new people coming and they see that and they're like, oh, wait, is this bachata or is this, So just wanted to...
Yeah.
But just really quick, I definitely want to give a big shout out to all the DJs, promoters, to making like all these socials. Like after hearing you, I've heard Joseph, I heard Brandon, even Chris, like him teaching classes. I'm like, never realized how, like, it might be so saturated with so many social, but at the same time, I feel privileged because at the same time, let's say if I have a day off, okay, I know where I can find a good social. let's see, I could go like anywhere in general here in LA. So.
That's the good thing about LA is like literally you
So
can go
someplace.
out any night of the week for sure, and it's gonna probably be pretty good because there is something every night. But moving on, I have a segment that I created last season, and I want to bring it back for the second season as well. So I'm gonna go down the line. This particular segment is called La Prisión, and in La Prisión, what happens is you have to put something or someone in bachata jail or salsa jail, whatever. So let's start with Victor. What to you belongs in salsa, bachata, Latin jail?
No bail.
So no, I got two
No
things.
bail.
I definitely want to bring this out, and I know for sure all of you guys got something to say. So one thing is saying that we all hear a lot: "I won't date a dancer," or "I am never dating in the dancing scene." And the next thing you know, you see them and they're dating a dancer more than anything. And another thing that I could definitely share is, and I'm happy Kelinda's here for this, is the roles when it comes to follows and leads. Like, for example, how, the lead's job is to literally go approach the follow that they want to dance. Because right now I'm seeing in this generation right now, I'm seeing more follows asking leads to dance. But then I'm okay with that, which is cool with me. But the thing that makes me laugh more is when a lot of followers keep saying, like, why am I not getting asked to dance and stuff? Why do I always got to do the approach when there shouldn't be, like, from my opinion, like, there shouldn't be roles. We're all here to have a good time, from my opinion. So that's why I think we should be in
jail.
In jail, from my
I'm
opinion.
so bad. Like, don't even. I have nothing to do. I'm a back leader. I do all the wrong things as a woman.
She
I
does.
ask
I
all these guys
second
to
that.
dance.
She does.
I back lead. I am the queen of back leaders. I ask who I want to dance with because I'm just picky of like who I want to dance with, really. So, but go ahead.
She's
No, that's
You're a
that's
great
good.
follow. And I think there's also, no one talks about the other side of back leading when there's a lead who doesn't lead. I don't know what you would call that, but they don't lead well or they don't lead enough.
like they have a soft lead.
There we go. Softly. There's soft leads and there's back leads. I'm going to use that word from now on. And I think soft leads need to be put in jail. If you've been dancing bachata for more than a year and you're soft leading still, straight to jail. But for
Right to
me,
jail.
honestly, for me, it's people who should go to bachata jail are people who say to me, "Hey, can we dance? I saw you dance. I would appreciate dance." Like, mamas, I gotta dance this person. I'll get the next one, and I'll look for that person, and they get offended or they just don't really want to dance to you no more. Big ego. The other side of that coin are people who should go to bachata jail who say, "Chris, can I dance to you?" For example, and then a traditional comes on. They're like, "Oh, I really wanted to dance sensual. I don't really want to dance traditional," because they just don't like it. That
Or they
straight to
don't
jail.
know.
Or they don't know. But see, that's the thing. You should know.
Exactly.
You should. Yeah.
And that's what bothers
Or at
me.
least give yourself an opportunity to learn it so that next time you don't
You
have
literally
to say
can
no.
just do the basics.
So
Right.
that way, there's never that when the song comes on and you're like, that should not be the case.
Absolutely.
That should not be the case.
Everybody looks at Joseph.
I know.
Unless you don't like the specific song, that's understandable. Not liking every single song is understandable, but to not like a whole genre, that's
Since we all just looked at you, Joseph, bachata jail.
Oh, fuck me.
That fast bachata
Okay.
he'd be
Who
saying.
doesn't belong in prison?
I was gonna say any of those.
Fuck it, I'm gonna go here. Clueless promoters. I will say
Okay.
that.
All right.
Clueless promoters.
Clueless promoters. Know your audience, know who you're marketing, understand your business, and do it well.
Justin, bachata jail.
two things. The people that call traditional Dominican. Dominican is already within itself bachata. Like, if you're going to say, I don't dance Dominican, so what? You don't dance reggaeton? You don't dance merengue? Because that's a Dominican style of dance too. It's called traditional for a reason. Of course, we gave it the name. I highly doubt people in the DR call it just traditional. They just call it dancing bachata, right?
Right.
But out here, right, we call it traditional. Like when Kenny has a festival, it's LA Traditional Festival, not LA Dominican Festival, because then we would just think it's appreciating the Dominican culture.
Right.
So that jail. And then second one would be not moving your feet when the bachata beat is playing.
Oh man.
That's straight
And
to
your
jail.
hips.
Oh
And
man.
your
Straight to
Sometimes it's
jail.
just too fast, okay?
Straight to
No. I'm talking about, I'm saying when people are doing sensual movements
Yeah.
when there's a
They'll
bachata
go
beat
through
going on.
24
Yeah.
When you know there's a footwork beat, you should be doing
Right.
footwork.
Exactly.
Like, fucking A.
There's
Kelinda.
times the song calls for it and times the song doesn't.
Kelinda, jail.
A huge deal for me is when dancers are not aware of their surroundings. That's one way I've gotten hit multiple times.
I almost got in a fight
Yes.
multiple times.
It's so bad. I don't know how we could teach it. For me, it was just natural. No,
This will be the last thing that I bring up because I want to wrap this up, but I'm glad that you brought that up. We recently had a festival up in San Francisco where somebody actually got hospitalized
Damn.
because one of the professional instructors
Big time name too.
decided to do a backflip on the social dance floor and knocked some girl out.
This was salsa, by the way. Not bachata.
Yeah, this was salsa.
Stop.
Oh.
This was salsa.
Which is even like, really? Like,
Is it on YouTube?
Right.
That's like on no then, right?
And apparently now the woman is trying to sue everybody. So they may not even have that festival again.
She should.
Right?
I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna just keep it plain and
Y'all looked
simple.
at-
Tricks, lifts is meant for the performance stage. If you want to do that, become a performer. Do not be doing that shit on the social dancing because social dancing is for social dancing, plain and simple.
You will
Exactly.
literally hurt someone.
Exactly.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, not you could hurt somebody. You literally
Will
hurt
hurt
somebody.
someone.
Do you guys remember when
Yeah.
picking up the follow was the thing? You would pick
Oh.
them up. It was a couple years ago. Everyone would be picked up, and I was like, "That's so dumb." I'll be honest. I
Didn't
did
you
it
do
once.
that?
I was about to say, I was like, wait, I could have sworn I seen you two do that.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try it. Let's
Is
just
this
have
like
fun
the
with
dirty
it.
dancing thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they-
exactly.
I remember this
And I'll be
specifically. I
honest with
was
you.
like,
I'll be honest with you.
I
It
can find the video, too.
I enjoyed doing it, but at the same time, there's a difference between a backflip and a lift. But there's also, I will be honest. I myself have caught myself saying, "How can I outdo this next trick?" And then I had to calm myself down by saying, "That's not my job. My job is to enjoy. Let me just relax." And I think that also plays into the human in me as a dancer. Sometimes I might have a little too much of a dance high, and I might go too far. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's all about safety and making sure you don't hurt nobody. A backflip, really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Jesus.
This
Look.
was at SBK, was it?
Yes, it was.
Fuck,
You were
I
there.
was there at
I know you were
SBK.
But it
there.
was in the salsa room, which
Yeah.
you're non-existent to.
Excuse me, I danced on one and I'm
It does. And on
I
three.
just wasn't there at the time.
All right, you guys. Well, we could literally go for 5 hours talking because we
They
love
talk too
talking.
much.
We all have been a part of this for such a long time, but I have to cut it at some point. So that said, I appreciate you guys for joining me today. You guys were great. I appreciate your personal stories.
Thank
you guys sharing how you guys got into the bachata community, how you guys feel about the way that it is today. And, I think we're all praying for the same thing, that it just continues to ascend in a proper way. Right. But that all said, thank you guys so much for watching, not just listening this time.
First ever.
Yeah. First ever.
I want to say
And-
one more thing before you close out.
Absolutely.
I call you Rad, but your real name's Brandon. Brandon, thank you for putting this together. This was so needed for the longest time. We actually have really good insight on dancers as a whole, instructors as a whole. Most people don't even understand. They will never get the story until you actually brought it out. So, sir, we thank you for contributing to the dancing the way you do. This is
Appreciate
very, very helpful.
Appreciate it.
Very much appreciated.
Could we do another episode? Sometime
Hey,
soon?
Bonus.
Depends on
footage.
how the views do. All the views. If it goes viral, he'll bring us back.
Hey, why not? Plenty more where that came from. This is only episode 1 of season 2. So stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next one.
5, 6,
Peace.
7, 8.